Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Key of Threes. Happy New Year. It is a new year, a Key of Threes, a new year of NBA basketball in 2026, and a new year of New Year's resolutions for NBA teams and NBA players. That is what we are going to be discussing today, figuring out what some of these teams, some of these players, maybe even what the league as a whole can look to solve and resolve as we go into 2026. But Jay, going into 2026 today, starting off our first K3 stream of the year. How we feeling?
I'm feeling good, bro. It's 2026. Got a new vibe, got a new feel for the year. And there's a lot of teams that should take a different perspective going into the new year to fix the roster, fix how they see the future going for the rest of the season and go into the off season as well, even the trade deadline. We got a lot of hoops to talk about, Devin. It's glad to see you back here again, bro.
Certainly, it's very nice to be back. It's been a minute since I've been back on, but we got a lot to talk about. Certainly, there's a lot of teams that are having a lot of issues across the association right now. So there's a lot of potential New Year's resolutions that we can discuss here tonight. But I want to propose my first one here that has been a little bit, I don't know, surprising, but a little bit maybe disappointing compared to where this team was at last year, where they started the year at, but probably isn't necessarily surprising compared to their personnel. We've showed it on the thumbnail, so we got to address it. LA Lakers started pretty hot. We know how hot that team started. Austin Reeves was doing his thing. Luka was doing his thing. But as elite as that offense was, the defense was like at least decent. And last year it was honestly pretty good with not great personnel. Credit to JJ Redick, credit to some of the compete on the team. It was decent. Last 10, 11 games, it's been a bottom three defense in the league. And the record shows that they've been playing sub 500 basketball since that stretch. So, sure, Austin Reeves' injury, you can talk about Austin Reeves' production not being as good even when he was healthy. Regardless, the offense was doing its thing. The offense still hasn't been bad, although it hasn't been as elite as it was. The issue is being the defense is terrible. And
Mhm.
that is one of the main resolutions that I think that is going to be a focus of, as you talked about, potentially the trade deadline as we move forward in the next couple of months as a team that is trying to close out, obviously it's still a Luka era now, but still wanting to close out the LeBron era well. If they're looking to do anything right now, I'd have to imagine one of the primary New Year's resolutions league wide going into the trade deadline now is for the Lakers. How do we get any bit of a semblance of a positive defense?
Yeah, and I think the two biggest problems are you have a major piece of your team is a 41-year-old, newly 41-year-old. Happy birthday, LeBron. And it's Luka Doncic, who has never been a defensive stopper. We thought in the offseason, wow, he lost a lot of weight. He's going to be more active on defense. He's going to take another level on offense. We saw that offensive leap, even though Luka was already phenomenal that in that term. But on defense, he looks bad. I mean, some may say he looks even worse, which brings up the question was Nico Harrison right? And most importantly, was Nico Harrison fired for the wrong reasons? Listen, it's a lot of issues going on with the Los Angeles Lakers. Yes, you brought up Austin Reeves, but he's not someone that him not being in the lineup really doesn't help help their defense, I should say. Um, JJ Redick brought up the fact that since LeBron came back, the offense has looked disorganized. And I think with LeBron on this team, I don't think you can truly have an identity. I don't think this Lakers team truly has an identity or what they want to do on a night-to-night basis. I was it last Saturday where JJ Redick said that they were going to have an uncomfortable practice. I mean, that goes to show that this team doesn't truly know who they are. They're riding on Luka's back and they go as far as Luka takes them. It seems like every single night their objective is to outscore the opposing team because they're not gonna get down that stance and clamp up any star player on the opposing team on any given night. So going into the deadline, I think the Lakers should. You might have to prioritize getting a rim protector. Like I mean, like a legit rim protector. DeAndre Ayton is not the answer. Neither is Jackson Hayes, and we know the front line defense, the perimeter defense will not be there. So you need somebody sturdy to be there to protect the rim Do you go out and make a splash? I don't know how the trade is going to formulate. Maybe Austin Reeves, but hey, Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert is a name that has been circulating in the rumor mill this year. He hasn't been the defensive player of the year type level, but he still is a phenomenal defensive anchor for your team. That could possibly be an answer for the Lakers. I really don't. You to fix the Lakers, you would really have to gut their roster. And I think that's the biggest issue, especially because LeBron James takes up so much of the cap. So it's really hard to fix the Lakers issues this year. And I mean, if we're being honest, I don't think they were built to really be a contender this year.
No, I mean, ultimately, their defense was going to have to remain around the league average at absolute worst for them to be able to be a contender this year. And even then, they weren't likely to be a top tier contender. But yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, there's a lot of issues here. I mean, you alluded to JJ's comments the other day about them having that harsh practice inbound, which Ayton then was like, did you guys really believe that? Which is an alarming comment for DeAndre Ayton to be making about his coach of the team that he just got a prove it deal with. So that's not a great sign of how things are going in that locker room right now, unless Ayton's just making a rogue comment. But yeah, certainly, I mean, they have a couple of defensive pieces. It's just like they're negatives on offense. I mean, it's Marcus Smart and it's Jared Vanderbilt, and you're dying with them offensively. So they need a two-way piece, and they don't have anyone really. I mean, it's Laravia, their best quote-unquote two-way piece, and he's not exactly overly good at either, at least on a consistent basis. So that's really what they need. Like you say, if they could get a rim protector, that's ideal. Rudy would certainly be an optimal version if you want to have a short-term window with Braun still. On a potentially a cheaper value, maybe Daniel Gafford you could go get, but I don't know if the Mavericks are exactly in any rush to make a trade with the Lakers again with Nico Harrison not there anymore. If Nico was still there, yeah, sure, I would think that's quite likely. However, with the current regime, I find it quite unlikely that that becomes an option. But that type of guy, hell, maybe they even take a stab at Nick Richards. Not that I think they should do that. He's certainly not the answer, but that could be the type of move that they could make if they're desperate. Really, I think they just need a two-way guy, just someone who they can have on the floor who can defend, who's also at least neutral to hopefully somewhat good on offense. And they just don't have that. I mean, Herb Jones is probably like the ideal guy if they can use both of their first-round picks that they can move off of and throw in Vando's salary, throw in Connect. They can make the money work. That's probably the most optimal move for them if the Pelicans are selling ship. But yeah, I mean, that helps. Like you say, it still probably doesn't make them a contender. And although it's not the defense, the other glaring issue with this team for a team that seemingly was supposed to be, hey, we have LeBron, we have Reeves, we have Luka, we have these three very good playmakers. We should be super high assist team, very good playmaking team, really good ball movement. They're not anywhere near the top of the league in assists. That has not been a thing at all this year with this team. As we sit here, it's currently they're 25th. And Luka has a career high usage this year, higher than any of his years in Dallas, which is astounding that he's had to do that this year of all years in LA.
Yeah, that's tough. I'm not sure what his turnover numbers are looking like as of right now, but as of lately, he's been turning the ball over at an incredibly high rate. I don't see when it comes to somebody like Luka Doncic, he's such a phenomenal offensive player and he averages a ton of assists. Like you would theoretically think that a team with Luka Doncic would be, like you said, should be at the top of the league in terms of assists as a team, but it's not because he's kind of a system within himself. He's kind of a ball stopper, and you can be successful with Luka Doncic in playing that role, but you also need supporting pieces like he did in 2024 when he made it to the NBA Finals. Like I said, this Lakers team, they just aren't constructed properly. Another name, not you said two-way, even though he's kind of one-way, but he may be what the Lakers are looking for instead of a old Marcus Smart. Go out there, go get Isaac Okoro, man. Go pull him from Chicago.
Yeah, I don't hate that either. I mean, it's better offense than the defensive guys they got right now. Not that that's a
Absolutely.
high bar, but it's certainly better offense than what they have right now. Although I will give Vanderbilt credit; he's actually shot the three ball pretty well in the last couple of weeks. But I'm not exactly counting on that. So yeah, I
Yeah.
don't hate that either. I mean, reality is if they're going to make any moves, it is probably going to be likely one of those smaller moves. I doubt they're in a position to make that big splash right now, and they don't have to. I mean, Luca and Reeves is their era now, and they although they may feel it to an extent, they certainly don't feel it to the same extent a year or two ago, where it was like we have to win with LeBron. It's the LeBron era. It's all LeBron, and once he's gone, we'll figure it out afterwards because we're not going to be as good anymore. That's just not where they are anymore. So they're not as desperate anymore, and I think they can take a little bit more of a long-term approach and not do something just drastic.
Dev, I got a question. Now, long shot type of trade scenario. You see that the Oklahoma City Thunder are having incredible trouble with the San Antonio Spurs anytime that they match up, right? Do you pull the trigger? You know, the Lakers, they have to. At this point right now, there's no doubt that you have to throw Austin Reeves a bag in the offseason. Do you pull the trigger at the trade deadline? Go make a move for maybe a Lou Dort, go make a move for they probably wouldn't part ways with Kason Wallace, but most likely a Lou Dort. Would you make that move if he's available?
I mean, I think if he's available, it's certainly the type of move you have to look at. Um, It'd be a very good fit for them, certainly. Even just going into the long term, I think it'd be a very nice piece to have next to Luca. But if he becomes available, certainly it's just a matter of whether that's something OKC would be willing to do. I don't know that they would at this point. Not that I'm necessarily the biggest Lou Dort fan in the world. I think Kason Wallace is certainly a more important piece for them going forward. But if that somehow becomes available, the Lakers are one of many teams that certainly have to inquire.
See, all right, respect that. I don't know if you have anything else on the Lakers. There's another LA team I would like to bring up in terms of resolutions.
Go for it.
All right, for the Los Angeles Clippers, my New Year's resolution for the 2026 and for the Los Angeles Clippers to make the playoffs. In the last 5 games, Kawhi Leonard is making it look like it's 2019 again, and they are on a 6-game win streak. And I believe they're not. They're a few games behind the Portland Trailblazers to get into the play-in. It's realistic, and once Zubac comes back and Kawhi continues to play at this level, Zubac didn't come back yet, right? Unless I'm mistaken.
I don't believe so.
Okay, when Zubac comes back and Kawhi continues to play at this level, I could possibly see them making the playoffs, but there's a lot of ifs. They have to continue to play at like they want to be out there, quite frankly.
Yeah, Clippers are interesting. I mean, reality is if Kawhi keeps playing like 2019 Kawhi, he's going to will them to the plan.
I agree.
If he's at that level, he's just good enough to carry them to that degree. But yeah, I mean, beyond that, they need to find the most insane medical team known to man to keep this group of aging men alive for the next 4 months, and haven't been able to do that for the last 4 to 5 years. But that's where they're at right now. I mean, they need to capture that Brooke Lopez masterclass from the other week and capture that in a bottle and spray it out once every few games to be able to keep the season going.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think that the same team that took the Denver Nuggets to 7 games, that Denver Nuggets team that took the OKC Thunder, the team that won the championship, to 7 games as well, just fell off a cliff. You know what I mean? I don't see at the beginning of the year, it seemed like there was no return for how poorly they started the year. But at this point, it's kind of realistic. Well, if you could make that play-in, that's all you need. We've seen the Heat make the NBA Finals from play-in. All you need is a chance. Just punch your ticket into that play-in spot, and that's all you need to make the playoffs, bro. I can see it realistically for the Clippers. I don't think it's too far-fetched.
No, it's definitely possible. I mean, getting into the 7 or 8 seats will be a little bit more of a tougher ask, but it's certainly not impossible. I mean, the Suns and the Warriors have been decent, but not great. So it's attainable. And if you get in that spot where you only need to win 1, I think asking Kawhi and James Harden to get you one of two is probably a pretty safe ask. Not a gimme, but I'd feel pretty confident in that. So,
Yeah,
especially considering that if it is a Memphis and or a Portland that you have to beat in one of those games, I'd probably favor them against that level of an experience. So,
for
uh,
sure.
I think they're in a pretty good opportunity for that, provided they can get there, which at this point, I wouldn't shock me. I mean, Portland don't seem to be getting any healthier. All of their injuries that started now seemingly over a month ago were like, yeah, they're minor injuries. Basically, none of them are back. So I don't know what's going on in Portland, but Scoot seems to, well, he's going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks. Now he's going to be reevaluated again in like another 4 weeks. Drew
And
Holiday.
he hasn't played a game this year, right, Scoop?
No,
That's
he's
scary.
he hasn't played at all. Drew Holiday had seemingly a minor injury and has been out forever. So
Yep.
yeah, they got some weird stuff medically going on. So it wouldn't shock me if they fall out. Memphis has been better, especially with Zach Edey back, but I'm not exactly expecting anything amazing from them. So yeah, it's certainly possible, but that's weird fall, man. Like you say, I mean, Kawhi obviously started slow. Beal getting injured for the year early on hurt. Not that I was expecting Beal to be a all-star again, but he certainly got to a point where he was probably underrated in Phoenix. I mean, he was still good. He just obviously was significantly overpaid and was very redundant there. But I mean, he still averaged 17 last year on 50-39 splits. Very efficient, still 15 points a game at bare minimum. You were probably hoping to get from him this year. Obviously, the Norm Powell replacement, and you lose him after 6 games. So that one hurt pretty significantly. Of course, Derrick Jones Jr. has been out, but I mean, that's kind of the risk you run when you're running a bunch of old guys. And I mean, Derrick Jones is probably the one guy who isn't even super old on the team. So, yeah, I mean, it's as always with them, it's just health. And as long as they have, honestly, at this point, as long as they just have Kawhi healthy, they're probably going to be okay. That they just need that, and if they do, as you say, continue that collective buy-in for the next little bit, and they don't have another CP situation that unravels the locker room even further, they can probably at least have an attempt to salvage it in the play-in.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. As long as they continue to play like they like each other, they got that locker room cancer out of the building. And Chris Paul, aspiration made their final payout to Kawhi Leonard, so he's playing again, playing well again. So it's good vibes back in LA. It's good vibes in the Intuit Dome.
Good vibes. One can hope. It's interesting vibes in LA, certainly for sure, but they'll be hoping they can figure it out down the 2026 side of the season. But let's move out east. I think there is, at least building towards the future, an interesting need and resolution that the Indiana Pacers need to deal with as they go into the trade deadline, into the offseason. And that is figuring out what the hell they're doing at center. Obviously, it was a very much patchwork system going into this year with the departure of Miles Turner. And, it wasn't an immediate need with Halliburton being out for the year, but no one has answered the call. Isaiah Jackson, not great, doesn't quite look as good as he did pre-injury, but not that was amazing, but at least it was better. Tony Bradley is a depth big still at best. Jay Huff has had moments, but again, he's a backup big at best. It's not been good. James Wiseman played like a game and then they cut him. It's been ugly for sure. So I know Benedict Matherin's been rumored as a packages, and maybe that gets them a center. But do you have any thoughts, Shay, on where you think they should end up going in terms of trying to get a center going in the next year?
See, there's a couple teams in the East that I do need to address. That I think needs to address the center position, and I'm thinking about it. There's not a lot of like valuable or like starting level centers in the league right now that is on the market or available. Like I'm thinking when it comes to centers, to my mind, I'm thinking of maybe a Nick Claxton, but they kind of like building something in Brooklyn, low key on the lowest of keys. When I think of centers, I'm thinking of possibly maybe some people may not regard him at starting level, but I really like this player, Goga Batadze, but he's valued in Orlando as well. When it comes to centers, I don't think Detroit wants to depart with Isaiah Stewart. I really like what he is a part of their culture. When it comes to centers, I mean, it's really hard to think of like centers that are on the market right now, and like that's difficult. You would have to overpay for a center at this point in the NBA season. Maybe, like you said, Nick Richards, because Phoenix is pretty set on Mark Williams, and I like Iguodala. Walker Kessler. I mean, if he's even on the market, if he's available, I'm trying to. There's really not that many good centers out there, bro. There's really not. It's hard. Maybe dig in the draft. Maybe you could find yourself a gem in the late first round. I mean, you probably don't want to use that. It's second round pick. I don't know. It's hard. Dev, it's hard, bro. When it comes to centers, that's difficult.
It is. It's not a great center market right now. As much as I feel like we've gone through kind of ebbs and flows over the last decade where the center position hasn't been that valued. If you don't have a good one, you don't need a great one necessarily, although we have seen quite a few, obviously, championship winners over the last few years that have had an elite big. But if you don't have at least a good one, it's certainly tough. And yeah, like you say, there's just not that many right now. I think Claxton is a guy, but like you say, I don't know if they're in that much of a rush to move off of him right now. They've got him tied down long term, so they would be happy to just keep him. And Jody Fernandez loves to win. He does not believe in tanking because he consistently has these guys winning way more games than they should. And I don't think he's going to be in any rush to want to move off of him. And MPJ is obviously more likely, but Claxton, I wouldn't be shocked if he sticks around. So there's no guarantee there. I think an intriguing option that you certainly have health concerns with, but that could be fun and I think would fit is if Portland's willing to move off of Robert Williams. I think that could be an intriguing fit and would be a really good lob threat for Halliburton. Decent playmaking hub as well if they want to utilize that. But yeah, outside of that, Gafford, I guess, if the Mavericks do end up wanting to move off of him, which I'm still not saying that they should or will, but I know that continues to be thrown around. And outside of that, they would have to be if the Kings fire everything and Sabonis is on the move, but there's no way he's going back to Indiana. I can't see that happening. I do like the Goga shout, though. I do like the Goga shout. Him going back to Indiana would be fun. He's improved a little bit more in Orlando since he finally put it together a little bit in Indiana. But again, I don't know how Orlando would be in terms of their willingness to get rid of him. They do have some depth there once Mo Wagner can finally see his way back in the court. But I don't know how willing they are to do that. But I think that fit makes some amount of sense. But then do you want Goga playing 26, 28 minutes a night? It's still not ideal. So like you say, it's slim pickings, but they got the expiring contract of Benedict Mathurin. Do they want to pay him long term? Seemingly no, and I could understand why. So they do have some value that they can move off of if they do want to go and make a splash. It's just, who is that splash for? It's hard to find that guy right now.
Yeah, I completely forgot about Mo Wagner because he's been injured this year. I absolutely love Mo Wagner. If Goga does become available, it would only be in the offseason or next year because you wouldn't want to make a move. You don't know how Mo Wagner is going to come back from his injury. Possibly if you want to make a move for Andre Drummond, because that's a possibility. But for the type of big that Indiana would be looking for, it seems they would want a stretch five, and those come like far and few between. So it's really difficult. That's why I'm thinking that they're probably going to look in the draft, see what you could find in the draft, maybe a hidden gem. I think that may be your best bet.
Yeah, that wouldn't shock me at this point. I think the only other option, if you're thinking of, a potential stretch guy, is if they traded for Porzingis and then they paid him. I don't know that that's the right move. It's probably the only option that you could think of a stretch option who could be a starter caliber guy. But yeah, and then you're probably overpaying him at that point. He's in his 30s now. We know his injury history. I wouldn't exactly be endorsing that, but it's limited options, certainly.
Yeah, I think at this point, Porzingis may have to play the same amount of minutes that Mitchell Robinson played, like a 17, 20 minute a night type of guy, because how risky he is on a night-to-night basis to want to commit to him and have him rely on him being in your rotation consistently. That's tough. That's tough.
Yeah, it's not ideal for him, which actually is why I actually don't mind him in Atlanta, because if he misses time or only can play 15 minutes a night with the Kongu there, they're actually fine. But yeah, if you're in Indiana's case and you're having to rely on him, then yeah, it gets a little bit ugly. So
See
yeah,
that
and this again, I'm very much not a draft guy. There's not a ton of top of the class center talent by the looks of it. Just a few quick glances at a few mocks, and it looks there might be a big or two, maybe, that go in the lottery, and none of them that are going to be going higher than eighth by the looks of it. So it doesn't look like there's going to be anything amazing. I mean, the Grizzlies did end up getting Zach Edey at around that range. Jonathan Klington's gone around that range in previous years. So not to say you can't get quality there, but if you're the Pacers and you were just in the NBA Finals and you're like, well, we got Halliburton back, Siakam's still here. We got not all of, because they may end up trading away Matherin or not resigning him. They obviously don't have Miles Turner anymore, but they're still going to have enough of their core that they're going to feel like they can make a deep push again. They're going to want a guy who can produce right away. They're not going to want someone that they're going to have more of a project on. I don't know. I don't know if the draft's the route, but maybe it's the best route at this point, because yeah, the options are very limited at this point. It's a thin center market right now.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, they may have to take a minor step back to take that big step forward, because they are going to be losing, probably most likely going to be losing Benedict Mathurin. And he, even though people may not want to admit it, he was kind of important in their finals run. He was essential in some of those games. And Miles Turner as well, they needed his rim protection. He may have not been most consistent in terms of shooting his 3-pointer, but that rim protection was very, very important. So yeah, for Indiana, they're just gonna have to really do their due diligence in terms of the center market and figure out what would help Halliburton be the most successful when he comes back next season. But you brought up the Atlanta Hawks. I have a resolution for the Atlanta Hawks. I know you said they're good with Porzingis. I don't think they're good with Porzingis, bro. For them to take that next leap, I am super high on their offense. Offensively, they're great. But on defense, it's so easy to get in the paint, bro. I love Onyeka Okongwu. What he does out there for the Atlanta Hawks on offense is great. And he's not even the worst defender, but he just doesn't have the size to be a good or great rim protector. And that's exactly what the Atlanta Hawks need. Especially, it's not all his fault. It is not all his fault, but especially with Trae Young out there on the floor, you need that second line of defense to be there at the rim. You absolutely need it. And like I said, it's not all his fault, but even when he's not out there on the floor, it's still very easy to get to the rim on the Atlanta Hawks. So they desperately need any type of rim protection. That's my resolution for the Hawks. I know I said these names already, but if you can make a splash, see what it takes to remove. I was gonna say Nick Claxton, but we already said he may be cemented within the Brooklyn Nets culture, bro. See, we already talked about it, but it's so hard to find a center, bro. It's just so hard. It's incredibly hard. Once again, maybe if you could make the Rudy Gobert move, I don't know, maybe get one of these bench centers that aren't getting too many minutes. Find them a home. If you really want to be risky and you could really bring that dog out of this certain player, Jarrett Allen, if you could activate Jarrett Allen, make that move.
That's what I was going to just mention. Because I'm just looking at how packages would work. If they were willing to trade him, if you were the Hawks, would you be willing to give up Nickeil Alexander-Walker to get Allen?
Oh, no. Hey, yo, Dev, I'm so high on the Jalen Johnson, Nickeil Alexander-Walker duo, bro.
I'm with that. I love those.
They've been so essential to the Hawks.
I love those two. I'm just trying to look at what the package could look like. I don't know if the Cavs would bite on an offer that doesn't involve Nickeil. I think it would be Richeche, and it would be Asa Newell, and it would
I love Asa Newell too.
Then it's a salary filler at that point, either Mogay or Vic Krejci, I guess. Krejci's been very good this year. He's figured out the three, so Atlanta probably don't want to move off him. You're probably moving off Mogay. That might make the money work, although the Cavs are the second apron, so the Cavs are in hell to trade with. But yeah, that would work. So Ricochet, Newell, Gay, and then if you needed a pick compensation in there, you could make it happen. But there is maybe a world there where that happens. I don't know if Ricochet is anywhere near as proven enough right now for the Cavs to want to bite on that. In an ideal world, if Ricochet could actually be a productive two-way wing, then I think there's a world where that makes sense. But that just hasn't really happened for him yet. So yeah, I think that's the framework that would make the most sense if I'm Atlanta. I think if you could have Jared Allen, a Kongwu can be your somewhat backup big, but then can probably honestly run a fair bit of double big lineups with them. I think that's very intriguing. I think that gives them a very much higher ceiling on defense while still being a solid offensive team as well.
Yeah, I mean that's not a bad idea. I'm looking at the teams right now, and possibly I'm not the biggest I'm not that high on this certain player, but if the Memphis Grizzlies are looking to move on from Jaren Jackson Jr., who I think is super overrated, I think that could be a decent piece to trade for the Atlanta Hawks, just to get some type of defense at that 5 or 4 position, bro. Just their goal going forward should be defense. Like, I think you have your offense solidified. I think your offense is fine, but just get the defense cooking. Get some type of defensive identity. And we know from the Utah days, Quinn Snyder can formulate a good defense, but give him something to work with.
Yeah, I think it's possible. You need Jaren to buy in defensively again, and that's been obviously a lot more hit and miss since his Depoy year, but it's possible. Rebounding would become an interesting concern to me. Not that Okongwu is bad there, but he's, again, as we've mentioned, he's undersized. He's fine, but not a great rebounder. We know what Jaren does on the glass, and it's nothing. Yeah. So, that would be the concern there. But it would certainly help the defense. It still keeps great spacing for your offense. I mean, you have Jaren and Okongwu that can still shoot. So that would keep that, whilst ideally still then helping your defense. Then at that point, and then you're probably having to unfortunately give up Nikhil, which you'd have to part with at that point. But it's probably a little bit more worth it if you can get Jaren. But
yeah,
and then you can just salary filler it from there because Luke Kennard's lovely contract exists. But yeah, it's an option. It's an option.
Luke Kennard should be doing DoorDash, bro. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Call up the other Middletown, Ohio legend, good old GabeSlidIn. You can replace him.
All right. There another team you want to bring up? Wait. My bad. Before we move on, I was looking at the rosters, the teams again, just to backtrack a little bit to the Indiana Pacers when I brought up the stretch 5. Yeah. I don't know how you feel about this player, but if they can make a move for Quentin Post, I would love that. I'm a big fan of Quentin Post, and I think he made a leap a bit. I'm not saying he's really good on defense, but he made a leap on the defensive end this year.
Yeah, no, he's definitely noticeably better there this year. I like that shout. I think he'd be a nice ad for them. Yeah, I don't know what the Warriors would have to get back to be enticed by that. Like maybe a Ben Shepherd, although he's not been amazing this year. The idea of Ben Shepherd, they might be intrigued by, but yeah, I don't really know what they'd be able to offer to make that work. But I would like that fit, and ideally as their backup going in the next year once they can add someone in the offseason. But I do like that idea. So yeah, there's fringe guys, and they might be able to work something, but it's slim pickings out there right now for sure on the center market. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, I got a couple of quick fires here, and then I'll dive into another one. It's just funny with the Jazz and the Nets, and I love it because Will Hardy with the Jazz and Jordi Fernandez with the Nets have been great, but they, as far as New Year's resolutions go, as far as the betterment of the team, they need to learn how to tank. Both of those teams are playing too well too soon, and they're not going to get the talent they need. Especially in Brooklyn's case. I mean, they don't really have those elite young guys. I mean, they had 5 first-round draft picks last year, but can you point at any of them and say franchise guy? Probably not.
Igor Devin, that's the most impressive one.
Yeah, probably. And he's been better than I expected him to be. I'll give him that. And the 3-point shot looks way further ahead than expected, but I'm
Mhm.
still not overly moved by him. I don't really know what his role is long term yet. He's an interesting player. I just don't know if it's a good interesting or a bad interesting yet. Just sometimes you get the versatile tweener guys that are, a Luca that or a Franz that you don't really know what they're going to do when they figure it out to a great extent. And then sometimes you get the Marvin Bagleys of the world who are tweeners and don't really find a role at all. So we still got to figure out where that is for Jemin yet. But yeah, I mean, same thing last year with the Nets, same thing this year. Like the talent on the roster would indicate they shouldn't be that good. And especially over the last month for the Nets, like one of the best defenses in the league, playing
Mhm.
500 basketball over the last 10 games. Like they've been
Mhm.
great. So it's great. Shout out to the head coaches of both of those teams. I mean, Utah, same deal. I mean, Keontae Jordan has been out with an illness for the last couple of games. I think Markman was out with an injury again as well. We're early enough in the year. I don't know if those are actual illnesses at this point or if we're starting to be like, hey, we're winning a few too many games here. I mean, they were 12-19 at that point. They were just on the fringes of the play-in tournament, which shout out Will Hardy, shout out Keontae Jordan, his breakout this year. He's a big part of that. But
For
uh,
sure.
yeah, they need to tank, especially Brooklyn. I mean, they are you saying in 3 years that they're going to have a couple of, mid to late lottery picks plus Igor Jamin plus Danny Wolf plus Noah Clowney plus a few other guys they got this year, and that's your core to a successful rebuild. I mean, it could be something, but it's probably not. I mean, at least Utah already have Walker Kessler and Keontae George in the door, so at least they have something. But
Mhm.
unless Ace Bailey becomes your number one, number two guy next to Keontae George, they're probably lacking some talent too. So shout out to the head coaching, but if they want to be a little bit more successful in terms of their talent acquisition, they might have to learn about tanking a little bit. But I wish them luck getting their head coaches to buy in on that one.
So wait, yeah. So you think is tanking still a thing? Like considering the odds have changed, and we've seen teams jump up in the lottery, and teams that purposely tank not be so successful in terms of their lottery odds. Do you think tanking is still a thing, or should be a thing?
I think it is still a thing to a point. I know it was, the big talking point a couple of weeks ago when the league came out with some of their discussions that they're bringing up to try to curb and restrict some of the amount of tanking that's going on in the league. I don't think it's this pervasive league destroying issue that it was potentially being brought up to be in that conversation that it has in prior seasons, especially this year. I mean, if you look at the teams at the bottom of the league right now, it's the Wizards who just are bad
My
and
bad.
are
Yep.
just playing their young guys. You got the Pacers who, again, just Halliburton's been out. They had a crazy amount of injuries to start the year. Now, again, they've lost 10 in a row now that they're a little bit healthier, but they've also just had guys who've been playing bad. I mean, Obi Toppin's been a guy like that who just 3-point shot has fallen off a cliff this year. So I certainly don't think they're tanking by any means. They just haven't been good and they're waiting for their main guy to be back next year. Brooklyn was supposed to be worse than they are. Charlotte are doing what Charlotte does, having at least expectations for the play-in and then falling short of that. And then, Milwaukee's doing what Milwaukee's done without Giannis. And as far as out west, I mean, Sacramento is maybe slightly worse than expected, but certainly not by their own volition. They're trying to win. They're just bad at it.
Mhm.
Dallas are kind of where we've expected, given some of the injuries they've had and the fact that they traded away Luca, and New Orleans have just been bad. And Zion has missed a lot of time. He's been back lately and good, but they weren't exactly expected to be great. And then Utah have been trying to win and have been better than expected. So I feel like this season of all seasons is certainly not a year where we're seeing tanking be prevalent. It's not to say it hasn't happened. I mean, we see, especially in the last month and a half of the year, we'll see some teams, put some of their veterans on the injury report for a while. One of the notable examples they listed when they were talking about the reforms a couple of weeks ago was, I believe it was Clippers with the Mavericks. I forget what team it was, but it's someone out west who sat there. It was the Mavericks with Luka and Kyrie the other year. They were trying to get back into
Oh yeah.
out of the
Yeah.
play-in to
Mhm.
keep their protected pick. So it does happen, but I don't think it's this dramatic thing that's really altering the league. And ultimately, I don't think it's the worst thing for management to be doing. Now, should it exist and should the NBA allow it? And do I mind them adding in a few other things to potentially limit it? Not necessarily, but I think that's a very fine line to walk. Like, how are you going to interfere with that? Like, if you're making the argument for the Mavericks case, well, they sat Luka and Kyrie because, well, they said they had quote unquote injuries, that then you're not letting them play. So are we letting the league investigate into teams to determine by the league and not teams' medical staffs whether an injury is valid to sit out for or not? Now, if there's no injury whatsoever, then yeah, I mean, in that obvious of a case, then that's a little bit more black and white. But I think it's a very murky line to get into to say, okay, the league has the official directive on saying this guy can play, he's not injured enough. Like, that's a pretty dicey line to follow. If you're dealing with guys that are getting rested or load managed or that sort of thing, maybe it becomes a little bit clearer. But I think tanking is going to exist as long as the lottery system exists. And I don't know that there's anything inherently wrong with it under the current system, because I don't feel like we've had anyone in a while that's blatantly like the process Sixers been like, yeah, we're going to suck for 5 years and we're just going to throw random dudes out on the court. I don't really feel like that's a thing that's happening anymore. And as long as we're not to that extreme, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with it.
So I would disagree, because I feel like tanking would hurt the culture that you were trying to build within your team, especially if you have a young team. I would point to a team like the Charlotte Hornets, for example, a team who hasn't been successful or hasn't had like significant playoff appearances or playoff success in years. If you purposely, especially coming from up top, if you purposely direct your team, hey, let's sit these guys tonight, especially when they're young guys, I feel like that sets a bad precedent. That sets a bad example for what you're trying to accomplish as a team. And at the end of the day, these players don't care about draft picks. Like, they don't care about somebody else coming in to take their job. They're going out there to play to the best of their abilities. We assume so. Go out there to play to the best of their ability, go out there, play hard, and show that they're worth their next contract. You know what I mean? So I don't think that tanking, I just feel like it's a bad look on teams like the Utah Jazz, like the Washington Wizards, like the Charlotte Hornets, teams like that who hasn't had constant success and are known for being losing franchises. I believe last year the Utah Jazz got fined for purposely sitting Lauri Markkanen, or it was some player, for purposely tanking. And I just don't. I like that the league came out with more rules to stop tanking. I just don't like that teams go out there and purposely sit these players to lose games, especially not the odds are flat. Like, come on, let's go out there and play. If it's the end of the year, say it is like 10 games at the end of the year, you have no chance at making the playoffs. All right, cool. I think that's a little different, but doing that shit in February, that's kind of lame to me.
Yeah, I could agree with that. I think there's certainly a right way to go about it and a right time to go about it. Like you say, like I don't think we should be seeing any prevalent or overly evident tanking from any teams until at least March. Like, at that point, you know where you stand. If you want to phone it in at that point, I can get it a little bit more. But even to that regard, like you mentioned with the Hornets, and wanting to make sure that you build that culture, the young guys that you're building shouldn't be the guys that you're sitting to tank. If that's how you're doing it, then I just believe you're inherently doing it wrong. Like you say, you're not setting your culture properly. You're just ripping them of experience and potential development. It's a very weird way to go about it. I don't mind, a little bit more how the Wizards may have done it a bit at the end of last season, where they kind of just shut down the veterans. Like Middleton, okay, last 2 weeks of the year, you're done, bud. You can just hang out. I don't mind that. Now obviously if dude wants to play, let him play. But if you're a older guy who's a little bit more injury prone, like Chris Middleton, who quite honestly after winning a ring is probably a little bit annoyed to be playing for the Wizards in their current state. If he doesn't mind just hanging out and picking up a paycheck and not playing for a couple of weeks, I don't mind doing that with your veterans as long as they're still there and active, and being someone that those younger players can rely on as a veteran presence, as long as there's a cohesive buy-in there. But yeah, we don't need to be seeing that stuff before, like you say, that last few weeks, month of the season. And I don't believe that you should be sitting your young guys either. Like, I just, that that bit has never made sense to me. If the vets, you want to sit them down at the end of the year, go for it. Let the young guys play. At that point, quasi tanking, but also just letting some of those further guys down the depth chart get a little bit of a run. Maybe they make a showing. Maybe you find a diamond in the rough that way. Nothing inherently wrong with that. I don't believe for the last few weeks of the year for a bad team. Maybe you find someone in your organization that you didn't really know could make that much of a step. But yeah, before those last few weeks, I don't believe in it. And for the young guys, let those dudes play, man. Those guys are there to play.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. You got another team though?
Yeah, I got one more. I know we've talked about it a little bit, but I gotta touch on it again before I got a couple more smaller ones I can discuss. But main resolution for the Timberwolves, they got to find a competent point guard, man. They've got to find a competent point guard, and that's probably all they are away from being. I don't even know if I'd want to say a borderline contender. They could just be a contender at that point, depending on how good of a point guard they could get. But
Right.
it doesn't exist on the team right now. They got Anthony Edwards trying to masquerade as one, and Bones Highland doing things sometimes, and Dillingham being forced to occasionally try to do things, but that experiment certainly hasn't worked yet. So, yeah, I don't know who they go for. Feel free to give me any thoughts and names that you think they could go get, but they got limited flexibility right now, so I don't know that there's many options they can really do.
Damn, in terms of in terms of PG, wow. All right, so may not like this, and I pitched this player to teams with other players on KOT. Russell Westbrook is still in the league. He is a vet. He's been in big games, especially last year. Let's not forget, he showed up huge in the playoffs for the Nuggets, for better or worse. And let's not act like everybody in the NBA is perfect. There's a lot of flawed players. Some of your favorite players are flawed. Everybody's favorite player is flawed. So is Russell Westbrook, but you don't got to be out there for 30 plus minutes. Cool 20, 25. You know those minutes are going to be impactful because of the energy he brings every time he steps foot on the court. So that is 100% an option. 100% an option. Now, are there going to be worries on the defensive end? You got Rudy back there. You're cool. Are there going to be worries in terms of spacing? All right, you can't play Rudy and Russ in the same lineup. All right, cool. All right. There's issues there. It's not perfect. But that is an option. Russell Westbrook is 100% an option. He's still in the league, guys. He's still in the league. Other point guards. I mean, maybe we could go the direction of let's bring Tyus Jones back. Let's bring Tyus Jones back, man. Let's bring Tyus Jones back. Once Jalen Suggs comes back for the Orlando Magic, Anthony Black. I am sorry, dog. I apologize. You've been hooping lately. Anthony Black has solidified himself as a must have rotation player for the Orlando Magic. Once Jalen Suggs comes back, I think the Orlando Magic wouldn't be not willing to part ways with Tyus Jones. That's 100% an option as well. And maybe if you want to go the route of a combo guard, see what the offer is like for Anthony Simons for the Boston Celtics. 100% could see what the price on Anthony Simons could be. If you want to go that direction, I know you probably want to go more of a playmaking type of point guard. That's fair, 100%. In terms of that, maybe Jaden Ivey, if you want to buy low on someone, Jaden Ivey's an option as well. Don't know how much the Pistons are willing to get rid of their lottery pick, Jaden Ivey. And it seemed like they really liked him. He hooped out last year. It's going to take him some time to get back to that level for sure. But Jaden Ivey is also an option. So I think those are guys that could definitely help the Minnesota Timberwolves once again reach the conference finals this year. Honestly, Dev, if they don't make a move for the point guard, I don't think they're going to make it. I don't think they're going to make it back to the Western Conference Finals.
I don't think so either. They got to make a move, and Like I know their options are limited. They don't have a tradable first round pick this year until they get to the draft, but they got to do something. I mean, the offense has still been good. I mean, it's still a top 10 offense, but you can see at times in the clutch, and you can see how it's going to translate in the playoffs. Like they just need that guy. Russ is interesting. Like you mentioned, I think the spacing could be the one thing that would hold them back. I do like the Tyus Jones shout. I think that would be a natural fit back there for them in Minnesota. Uh, the option that honestly I thought of, as you mentioned, Russ might be his teammate right now is Dennis Schroeder. I think that
Yeah,
could be
Devin
an
showed up.
option that I think that could be an interesting fit for them as well. A little bit better defender, a little bit better 3-point shooter. I think that could be an interesting fit for them. We saw what he could do down the stretch in Detroit last year. Maybe that's an option they could consider. They have the salaries and the assets to probably make a guy of that type of caliber work, whether it's a Schroeder or a Tyus Jones with a Mike Conley, Terrence Shannon, and if you need the money, Joe Ingles, and then you can add in a few seconds. So they could make it work. You're probably not getting anyone better than that. Like even an Anthony Simons might be at a push because then it would probably be well, they'd have to include Dillingham, which I know he hasn't been good, but
You
I
wouldn't do
don't
it? You wouldn't do it,
I
Devin?
don't know if you're willing to move off of Dillingham already. Um, I don't know.
Did
I
trade
mean,
a lot to get him.
they did give up a lot to get him, and ultimately, like that's the tough thing for Minnesota is because I feel like a lot of the discussion has been, well, they knew Mike Conley was going to be getting older, and they haven't addressed their point guard play. I think they were trying to. I have to imagine that's what the acquisition of Dillingham was. At least that's what it was in theory. It just obviously hasn't panned out. So if they really want to commit to win now, which honestly they probably should. I know that obviously Ant's not getting any older, but Rudy is. And the moment that Rudy is off this team, unless they replace him adequately, which they don't have the assets to do, they're going to have a substantial setback. They'll still be good, but I mean, this is a team that's borderline top 5 defense year in, year out. Once Rudy's been on the team, they're not going to be able to maintain that once Rudy's gone. So I don't mind more of an aggressive mindset for them right now. I think that's the way they need to go. And yeah, I think it's a very disappointing start to the new year for them and going into the trade deadline if they don't come out of it with an actual point guard on the roster.
I agree. I agree 100%. And that's a good point that you brought up with the not being able to replace Rudy because it's not going to be Naz Reid. Naz Reid is not the defender, even close to the defender that Rudy Gobert is. And 100% they need to make a win now move. I mean, this is one of the teams that's been to the Western Conference Finals multiple times in back-to-back years. They going head to head against some of the best competition the NBA has to offer. And there's no reason that the Minnesota Timberwolves shouldn't look themselves in the mirror and say, we should make it back to the Western Conference Finals. I mean, what realistically, the only thing holding us back is us. So I do think they need to, well, I do think they need to make that move for sure this year.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see a lot of teams that not necessarily need to make a big splash, but need to make some minor moves as we head into the deadline.
Wait,
So
Dev, my bad.
Let's go. Yeah.
I have a question because I was looking at this team's roster before we started. Jared McCain has not been getting a lot of PT as of recently. He hasn't played very well this year, but that could be a buy low move. Now, he's not the quote unquote playmaker at the point guard position, but he is a capable shooter, can space the floor, and probably can give you a lot more than what Rob Dillingham is giving you right now.
It'd be an interesting move for sure. I don't know. Now, if they're focused more long term, I think it certainly makes sense, and it could be a long-term answer because ultimately, even if they are in win now, they do probably want a long-term answer. So I don't mind adding Jared McCain. It's just a question of how much do they have to give up, how much do Philly still value him. Like you say, he hasn't played great this year, obviously limited minutes and limited games, but certainly hasn't been anywhere near as good as he was last year. I'd have to imagine that some of that is still there. Obviously was very productive in college, had a clear role that he could fit into in the league and did that last year before he got injured. So I would imagine that would be a pretty good fit. Again, maybe you don't get quite that high level of creation. Maybe he's not quite the guy this year, but I think that makes sense. It's just, do Philly take like a Terrence Shannon, I don't even know what the rest of this package would be. Bohm's Highland, if they were willing to give him up, probably Leonard Miller's more likely, and then a bunch of seconds, maybe if they're that out on McCain already. But I don't know that they'd be willing to give up on a 16th overall pick a year removed that quickly. But maybe it wouldn't be the most insane thing that Philly management has done in the last 5 years. But
yeah, you're absolutely right, because they have the most expensive role player on their squad, making $15 million a year. So you might be right. But another player for the Timberwolves, would you go ahead, give CP3 a call? Would you do that? Another old point guard, Mike Conley and CP3 have the unction.
I don't know, man. If this was last year, I'd probably say yes, but get the coaching, man. Get the coaching. He is very washed at this point, unfortunately, which at 40 is so valid. But he should be not stepping inside the sidelines of a basketball court anymore.
Nah, you're probably right. You are probably right. Oh man.
I only had a couple more quick fire ones here, and
okay,
and then I can shoot it off to you if you got anything else. But I had two more comedy ones and then one semi more serious, but both health related. One, the Nuggets. I don't know if they need a Eastern medicine witch or something going on here, but they got to get something going on in their medical department to try and keep these guys healthy, because they are in absolute health hell right now. I mean,
crazy.
It's like you couldn't get any worse with Jokic going out right after that. Now you lose JV. So I mean,
like, what are the odds, bro?
I guess they're gonna go from Deron Holmes being a castaway to have fun, because he's gonna have to get minutes now, which I guess is the one good thing from all of this. Not that that's probably what Denver fans want to hear right now, but yeah, I mean, he's going to get thrust into action. He played 21.5 minutes the other night, and I believe, that was the game where JV was still healthy. So that's only going to increase now. So that'll be fun at least. But yeah, they certainly need some health going on over there. On a similar note, my note for this one was the Cavs need to find a magic genie to heal Darius Garland. Obviously, he's still been playing, but it's clear that that turf toe injury is still very much impacting him. He hasn't really had that same on or off ball movement, that same burst, that same comfort on the offensive end since he picked that up last year. And the Cleveland offense just isn't the same without that. He's the engine that makes things go, that really allows the rest of the offense to be so good. And obviously Donovan Mitchell is a big part of it. He's still been amazing this year. His usage and his volume has had to be better, yet his efficiency has increased. So kudos to him, but the offense as a collective is just not as good when Garland can't be the engine of it. And that's where we're at this year with them. Now, certainly that is just one of many issues with that team, but Garland getting back to where he was pre-injury would certainly help a lot of that. But more serious note for my last one. If I'm the Bucks, my resolution is I need Giannis to give me an answer. What do you actually want? Can we continue to build around you? Can we actually, even just in the short term of the next 12 months, can we rely on you being here? Or are you just finally going to leave? No more of this, maybe I will, maybe I won't. Just give us an answer. At this point, they just are being stuck in limbo, whether they can actually move on or not. And they continue to have to sacrifice all of their potential long-term assets to just try and build the most competitive roster they can around Giannis, even if it's not very good, because they've sacrificed basically everything they have had over the last 5 years. And it got them a title, and it's got them, some pretty good rosters, at least on paper, even though since the title, they haven't been able to get out of the first round. But they just haven't been able to do enough. But they've tried. They've tried and tried and tried, and now they're sitting in limbo where, look, we basically have nothing else to give, but they're trying to continue to get creative like they did this offseason with the stretch and wave of Dame to bring in Miles Turner, because we still think that Giannis is going to stay, and we have to try and do whatever we can, even though it's further impacting our future, because Giannis is still here. And if Giannis is going to stay, by all means, keep selling the farm, sacrificing your future, because you have one of the best talents that the organization will ever see. And you got to maximize that, and you got to try and win the best you can with that. But if he's going to go, stop selling the future, man. It's time to finally start rebuilding some assets because they got nothing there right now for draft picks, the young players outside of Ryan Rollins. Like it's a ghost town right now. So, and that's fine if Giannis is staying, but this will I won't I dance from Giannis. I get it. He's been a loyal guy. He wants to stay by that to some extent. I do believe that, but he also wants to win. And clearly that's not happening in Milwaukee right now. I get the sense he really doesn't want to be that guy who requests a trade. Eventually, that's going to become more dignified than just maybe I'll leave, maybe I won't. Well, maybe in the offseason. I'm not sure. Like, it's a fun song and dance that he's doing right now, but I think it's only going to be fun for so much longer. And I'd imagine that the front office in Milwaukee is probably going to get fed up sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the drama and the noise around Giannis possibly leaving, possibly staying had just gotten a bit too loud. And I think he needs to cool it so he can actually have the GM get him to the destination he wants to go, whether it be New York or Miami or wherever it may be. He doesn't want to end up in a Charlotte or Indiana or a situation like that. You know what I mean? So I agree with you. I think Giannis definitely needs to give an answer, at least for this year. So you get a picture of what the rest of the season is gonna look like. I mean, right now the Bucks are the 11th seed, so future might not be bright, but at least we know what the future looks like. The team I wanted to bring up for resolutions is the Golden State Warriors. I think they need to let the dynasty go. Move on from Jimmy Butler. Move on from Draymond Green. Move on from Stephon Curry while they still have value. Steph Curry is 37 years old. We do not know how much longer realistically he's going to continue to play this game of basketball. He can definitely play until he's like 45 years old, but does he want to? Especially playing losing basketball. I mean, the Warriors are 2 games above 500. And we know Steph Curry is looking to win another championship. He wants to be on a championship contender. And the Golden State Warriors has not given us a reason to believe that they are championship contenders this year. Another year where they don't have any size at the rim. Another year where, I mean, last year, once they made the Jimmy Butler move, it looked like they were kind of dominant, if we're being honest. They were kind of dominant, but they haven't shown that dominance coming into this year so far. So I believe that they need to let the old guys go. Me personally, if I'm Mike Dunleavy, I've had enough of the Draymond Green show. I'm over it. If I'm Michael Dunleavy, I see the future. Steve Kerr went up there and said, this is a fading dynasty. That's exactly what it is. Let's sell on the dynasty high before we miss out. We already messed up the draft, taking James Wiseman instead of LaMelo Ball. We already fumbled that, okay? We already fumbled Jonathan Kuminga. He has absolutely no confidence. We don't even know what his role is on the team. All right, let's readjust. Let's take it all in, adjust our options, and realize that it's over. We already broke up the big three with Clay. It was a bad breakup. We saw Steve Kerr and Draymond get into it on the bench to the point where he had to leave and go to the locker room. We do not need another bad breakup with one of the best dynasties we've ever seen in our lifetime. Let's sell high and let's keep the ball rolling. Let's get some assets in. We don't need another bad breakup. All right. That's for the Golden State Warriors.
From the future of actually putting a competitive roster out again, I would love to see that. With Butler, I certainly agree. He needs to go. There's no reason for them to keep him around at this point. I mean, like you say, they're not going to do anything of note at this point. Maybe they win a playoff series. I don't think they do, but maybe they win a playoff series. Okay, whoop-de-doo. That's nothing for this group. That's nothing for this organization in this current era. That's not what they're playing for. They're playing to win rings. Mm-hmm. We've seen that. They've been doing that. They got the one post KD era, and I just don't see how they're doing that at this point. Jimmy certainly has to go. Draymond, I think, would make sense to trade. How much you actually get back for him at this point, I think, is another question. At his age, at his contract, at having to adapt to him outside of the Warriors system, you'd have to have a coach that's willing to put up with his ego, which obviously is not easy, as we've seen. So I think that one's a little bit more dicey. Obviously, where you get your value from is Curry. I just don't see how you can trade him, though. He's the Warriors guy. It'd be like if the Lakers traded away Kobe during his last couple of years while they were bad. Not that, Kobe again would have netted you insane value compared to a few years before pre-injury, but Curry is a little bit healthier and a little bit more at the top of his game still. But it's still, I just don't know how you trade away one of the greats of the game while he's still playing this well, even if he wasn't playing well. He's just the Warriors lifer at this point. There's no way you can move off of him. But I'm certainly not against them saying get everyone else off. And it's just Curry and dudes. As tough as that is to say, hey, Curry, if you want to play out a couple more years, we got to focus on the future. We can't do anything right now. That, or if he does really want to go, okay, maybe you can address him with that conversation. And he does want to leave. And you trade him away and grant him his wishes and he tries to compete elsewhere, in which case, then he goes. But unless that's the case, if Curry wants to stay, he's staying. So I think starting the process, certainly, Jimmy's got to go. Get Al Horford out. Get Draymond out if there's any amount of value there. And honestly, I think Draymond would probably just retire if he got traded anyways. So I don't know how significant that one is. I don't know if I could see him wanting to play elsewhere, but I was going to say trade someone else. I don't even know who else they have. I mean, they trade away Kuminga, but that's just getting off the money at this point. Ultimately, they really don't have anything else. So, but Hield, does he even get you anything at this point? I mean, he hasn't been great. So, they're limited options, but you got to at least get something back for Jimmy before things carry on too much longer.
See, I would agree with you, Dev, if Bob Myers was still the GM. I don't think Mike Dunleavy had the attachment, as we've seen with the Klay Thompson situation, to these players. And I think that's a good thing. So, because like you said, you really don't want to get rid of Steph Curry, the Warriors guy. But at some point, we have to balance the scale of perception and reality. And reality is we keep the squad together. It's just going to get worse. It's just going to get worse. And Steph Curry is going to be upset. And eventually it's going to come to the point where he's going to request a trade. Now, that point may be he's going to be old, maybe be more banged up. Maybe he'll just be so frustrated the trade value isn't even like worth it. If you and Steph Curry can work together and come to the realization that things just aren't going to work out and end in a championship, and you guys like it's a good breakup, all right, that's the perfect situation. But even if it's not at that point where it's a quote unquote good breakup, or you work with the team that you work with Steph Curry to get to a team that he wants to go to, you have to make that move. And I think you should make that move. It may not be this year, but I think that discussion should happen this offseason. Now, in terms of Draymond, I think he would love to play for Detroit. I feel like he would love to play for Detroit, and he'd be a great fit for Detroit. Yeah, and everybody else in the Warriors just like it's like filler, bro. I mean, it's like yeah. All right, I'll take him if you want him. I mean, all right. I don't know if you have anything else to say about the Warriors, but I have one more, just quick one.
Yeah, I'll briefly touch on the Warriors, sir. I'll pass it back to you. Just thinking about Draymond to Detroit, Draymond and Isaiah Stewart on the court together would be hilarious. I just know there would be some shenanigans that would come from that.
Crash Out University, bro.
Yeah, no, that would be absolutely hilarious. But yeah, no, I agree on the Curry front that I think it's just got to be an open conversation in the offseason. And it's just this, assuming they go that direction, which I don't think they do, but they should. We're looking to reset for our next era. If you want to stay, we're not going to trade you. But if you want to move, we will happily trade you along if you don't want to stay here while we're losing. I think that's the way you got to approach it. And then ultimately at that point, it's if Curry wants to leave, he can deal with, does that piss off the fans? And otherwise, if it's the Warriors saying we're just trading Curry, Dunleavy might not be attached, but how are the Warriors fans going to deal with we just traded away Curry? There might be a bit of a fan uproar there, even though it is, late in career. They're not great. Obviously, the Lucas situation was different. I don't think it'd be anywhere near as extreme, but we've seen how that can be when what we think is a lifer who's a generational guy ends up getting traded. Not going to be anywhere near as significant of an uproar, but I think things could get pretty interesting, and we know how the trickle effect can be there in terms of how someone's job security can be. So you might not be attached to Curry in terms of being there during all of that length of the era, but he's probably pretty attached to his job. And keeping Curry a Warrior as long as Curry still wants to be a Warrior is probably a pretty important part of keeping his job at this point, I would think.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's probably the best way to go about it in terms of having the conversation. Like, if Steph, if you want to be here while we're losing, we'll happily have you. But listen, it's gonna be a rough ride, and I want you to know that beforehand. If you want to be traded, we can make that move as well. I think that's probably the best possible way to have that combo with Steph.
Definitely.
But the last one is gonna be quick as well. It has to be about my New York Knicks. Our resolution. I need the NBA world to give us our respect. Okay. We went head to head with the San Antonio Spurs, not only in the NBA Cup, but the other night on New Year's. And it took Wemby had a 30-point double-double. He left the game early with the hyperextended knee for sure. But it took Julian Champagnie dropping 11 threes to beat us. Keep in mind, this is the San Antonio Spurs team, the same squad that beat the Oklahoma City Thunder 3 times in the last month. Okay, the Oklahoma City Thunder that everybody thought was going to be unbeatable. Oh, they're going to win 80 games. Oh, they're 100% going to win a championship again. That's the squad we're talking about. When you guys bring up the OKC Thunder, when you guys bring up the San Antonio Spurs, even when you bring up the Denver Nuggets, bring up the New York Knicks. We need to be in that conversation. I feel like we get disrespected way too much. I don't know about you, Dev, but I listen to a lot of Brian Windhorst. I listen to a lot of Bill Simmons, Zach Lowe, all those guys. They have this idea that if the Boston Celtics get Jason Tatum back, oh, boom, they're making the finals. That's silly. That's completely idiotic to me. And for some reason, I don't think these guys are watching enough New York Knicks basketball, because they seem to think that we live and die by Jalen Brunson. That's not the case anymore. We have guys like Tyler Kolek. We have guys like Kevin McCullough. We got guys like Mohamed Diarra who come in, affect the game, that actually swing games for us. And it's evident on a night-to-night basis. It's not even like there are games where OG and Mikal underperform and our bench carries us, bro. We have games where Josh Hart carries us, and that's not a new thing. We are not a live and die by Jalen Brunson team anymore. We are deep as hell, deeper than ever. Oh, let me not forget Jordan Clarkson as well. We have a legit bench, and it needs to be recognized. When you bring up the top championship contenders in the league, do not forget the New York Knicks. We wanted them. I had to get that off my chest.
No, that is super fair. I mean, in all honesty, at this point, even if, like you say, the Celtics do get Tatum back, he's fully healthy for the playoffs, so on and so forth, the Knicks are comfortably my favorite coming out of the East right now. They're the only team that I could really say I believe in at this point to make it out. Like you say, it's not just Brunson. The depth has been very good. The bench has been much more consistent. You have your complementary guys in the starting lineup that can do their thing. Cat's been better as of late. OG does what OG does. Bridges has been good. Like, there's a lot of contributing guys on this team. The depth is as good as it's ever been, and it's not as revolved around Brunson. As you said, he's still getting his stuff, but it's not as centered around him anymore. He's getting some more off-ball looks now. It's a lot more of a team offense as opposed to a heliocentric one, and it's been very effective. And I don't see any reason why the Knicks can't continue to be a very effective team and be the favorite out east. I think the only thing that if anyone wanted to nitpick at is that the road record isn't great. But honestly, that was headlined by the fact that it was a heinous road record to start the year. It's been decent over the last month and a half, so I'm not really fussed about that being sub 500 right now, because it's been above 500 over the last little while. So there's really not much to nitpick at. I mean, it's not a strong Eastern Conference. That being said, the Knicks are still good. Now, are they as good as some of the top teams in the West? That's a discussion. But as you made the argument, they've been competing with them and they've been winning some of those games. So I think there's certainly that argument to be made. And certainly in the East, I think it's very, very foolish to be making an argument of saying that the Celtics are free path to the finals if Jason Tatum is getting back, because sure, maybe if they had the same roster as last year, I could listen to that argument a little bit more. And even then, it's not a free path by any means. The Knicks are going to be tough. And to a lesser extent, the Pistons are going to be tough. But yeah, I mean, I respect you making your case because the Knicks definitely deserve their respect. That is certainly something they have earned up to this point. And I see no reason why they shouldn't be able to make a deep push to the finals at this point.
Thank you, Dev. And I think people have like a short memory. It's not like we beat the Boston Celtics last year with the Jason Tatum with his Achilles attached. You think we're gonna lose to a Boston Celtics team with the Jason Tatum with the reattached Achilles? Like what are we talking about?
Yeah, and a much weaker Celtics team at that. Like
exactly.
Even if Tatum's back, somehow if he's fully healthy, same guy. Like okay, Horford's gone, Porzingis is gone. Drew Holiday is gone. Like it's just I don't get it, man. I don't get it.
The mainstream media is just so disrespectful to New York basketball. They think it's the early it's frustrating, bro. It's really frustrating. I just want our respect. That's it. I just want the respect.
Should be deserved, man. But hey, they keep playing like this. I'd have to imagine it's coming their way because they've been playing some good basketball against some very good teams lately. We'll ignore the score tonight. They're definitely not losing at home to a team that's below 500. But don't worry about that. They'll come back.
Wait, who they play right now?
The Hawks. It's not terrible, but
oh no, we coming back. The Hawks play us hard. The Hawks play us hard.
Yeah, they're coming back. It's all good.
Hey, last time we played the Hawks, Trae Young had a stinker. I'll make sure I turn this game on for another Trae Young stinker. Put something on the grill tonight for Trae Young.
Trae Young is not playing. So if you hit his numbers, if the line was there, it hit.
Even better. Actually, nah, probably worse. I ain't gonna probably worse.
Well, that being said, unless you got anything else to add, we'll probably call it here.
Yeah, I think I'm all out. I'm all out of resolutions.
Sounds good, but nonetheless, that is our New Year's resolutions to start 2026. But looking forward to it. Should be a good year, and at least on the court, an interesting year of basketball. We got Jays Knicks lining up to what should be a pretty fun rest of the season for them. Which my Raptors are a little bit more hit and miss, so I might have to honorarily support the Knicks here and there as hopefully they have a little bit of a better run. But we appreciate you guys for tuning in again tonight. We appreciate all the continued support. We'll be back again on Tuesday, of course, as usual. Until then, have a good weekend, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.